got a great turnout today. Thank you for all being here. My name is Kevin Scully. I'm an architect and a partner in Design Collaborative. We're excited to be here in Charlotte. I moved down here 4 years ago because of this. This is a growing economy, and for people like this that are doing great things down here. So, and all of you. I think some of you probably started businesses down here for the same reason that we did. I just show it as a great opportunity for growth. We're excited to be here and excited to be partnered with Alan. We're excited to have him come on board and help me grow our presence here in the Charlotte region. So I'm excited to have you all here today, excited to have our panel. Thank you all for being here and accepting our invitation. And with that, I'm going to get out of the way and let Alan run this thing.
There's seats in the front, like 6 of them, or
all
8.
7, 10
it's like
people
church.
in the back.
Come on.
It's the splash zone.
Yeah, this is like elementary school. We'll get started once the seats are full. Anyways, Kevin, thank you for welcoming everyone. Great to see everyone. If we haven't met, Alan Clark on the business development side for us in the Carolinas. This was a fun one to put together because most recently my past life was on the economic development side, funding, never a practitioner, but had the pleasure of working with all 3 of these great individuals. We are taping it, and it actually will run in the Business Journal in about a month, but I've told them that they get executive rights to cut anything they don't want in there. So we don't have any reporters, so I know we'll get some candor today, and we'll get to some Q&A, and I hope you guys don't hold any punches. Setting the stage, though, I mean, big night last night, and I know we'll talk a little bit about that. But a lot of what we want to discuss today is the regional trends. And everyone's probably seen the stat, 157 people move to the region a day, net gain. So that's taking into account the folks that are leaving. Interestingly enough, the number's actually bigger than that. That number doesn't account for the birth and death rate. And birth is outpacing death rate for the region as well by 23 a day. So when you net it all out, we're gaining 180 people in the region per day, which is why yesterday was so important with the transportation referendum. Again, won't steal Sha's mojo, but I think that sets the stage. How are we doing with that? How are we being intentional? Where is that showing up in our communities? And what are the practitioners and their electeds and their boards doing to intentionally guide us through that substantial growth that we've been experiencing the past decade? At that, I want to go ahead and introduce the panel. Sha, if we can start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got where you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for having me here. Sha Rana, but I go by Sha from Charlotte. That's my moniker on site visits now. It sticks. But Director of Economic Development for the City of Charlotte. Love to be in this environment too. I majored in architecture as well, so I have a design background, but help run a full service economic development office that focuses on business attraction and retention, placemaking in P3s, and also small business as well. And just excited to be here to learn more. I've been in Charlotte since 2018 by way of Philly, by way of Baltimore, by way of DC. So I was a Northeaster, and I kind of follow the same migration patterns. There's a lot of those 157, those folks who are coming into our region. So I'm excited to be here. I am an economic development nerd. I love community and economic development. It's a passion for me, and I just love to see people grow and prosper in the community that I live and serve in.
He says that. We were recently in Boston. We had lunch together one day, and you were talking the nerd side of it, and I mean this in the most endearing way.
That's all good.
He said a few things where I was just, and again, I worked at the Alliance for 6 years, so I was like, wait, back up. Tell me what you mean by that. So great asset for our community. Jen?
He's also a really good painter.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, you can buy. I want to buy one of your paintings one day.
Appreciate it.
I hope it'll be a gift. I just turned 50.
I'll add you to the list.
I'm just joking. So Jenn Bosser, I'm president. Sorry, my ears are off. We're so high. I'm a president in Iredell County. I've been there since 2019. I cut my teeth in economic development in Washington, D.C. in 2000, and then moved to North Carolina, and I've held a variety of roles: City of Raleigh, Regional Alliance, Research Triangle Regional Partnership, and then the Wake County Economic Development. So I moved, I did all office projects in those markets, and then I came here and I'm doing all industrial. So that's the fun part of our job. I'm still learning, which I think is wonderful. And that's it. Did you have another question?
Yeah, that was great. I love your footprint because you start at the bottom on 77 and you're at Lowe's corporate, and by the time you get to the top, it's agriculture, and you get everything in between as you go up 77.
Yeah, Kevin was just asking me about one of my council members, Kenny, and he said in Statesville, and I'm like, Kenny, I don't know a Kenny. And then he was like, told me the last name, Goodwin, and I was like, oh, he's Love Valley, and he's like, Love Valley, and I was like, yeah, Love Valley, Union, and Harmony are actually, I know, we're like all about love up in the north. But you get to Statesville and you're only halfway through my county. If you go all the way like towards Elkin, which is where, here's a secret, I take my kids to do their DMV because they're really nice and it's easy to get into. And then I take them to Cracker Barrel right after that, and so we all have a great day. But it's an hour drive. But I was driving through up to Elkin, and I was like, "Can you believe we're still in Iredell County?" to my son, and we did it. We did the permit, and then we did the real test. And when we got to the rest stop or something, he goes, "Mom, can you believe you're still in Iredell County?" So he remembered. But yeah, it's a pretty long county.
And you mentioned Statesville a couple weeks ago on the quality of life side. A lot of folks still don't know about Balloon Fest in Statesville. It's fantastic every year.
It is.
3-day event, huge mass ascensions.
It is. We are the balloon capital of North Carolina, or the East, or I should know that one.
You should have stopped at Balloon Capital. The world's greatest hot dog.
I lived in Albuquerque, New Mexico as well when I was in elementary school, and the balloons took off in my schoolyard. So I feel like I had that, you know what I mean, compared. But yeah, it's a pretty cool thing. Albuquerque is the capital, I think, of the U.S.
Okay. Mitch.
But I'm owning it. Okay. No, yeah, I have rights, right?
Okay. Yep. Yeah. We'll go with it.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Mitch Miller. I've been in York County, South Carolina for just a little over a year, but I'm actually from the Charlotte region. I grew up in Lincoln, North Carolina. Just catching up with Rachel, her husband is there doing economic development. That's where I got my start about 20 years ago. So I got to work on some traditional type things there with industrial. Then I got a wild hair and moved to Tennessee. Spent the majority of my career up there, and then the opportunity presented itself to come back home, close to home, and was able to come to York County, and really excited to be part of what we're doing over there right now.
Awesome. Thank you guys for joining us. I did promise Sha to have a few minutes to either address, hopefully not a loss, but the transportation referendum. It went through. It was a close one, but big for the region. Can you tell us a little bit about the impact of that and how that'll impact your office?
Sure. It's a transformative moment for Charlotte. And when I talk to staff about economic development and where we are, this is really the golden era of a great American city. And you don't quite realize where you are or what you're doing in the moment. But when you really compare us with inside of the city, basically 1 million people, an international airport within city limits, a HBCU, a R1 institution, a medical school, a robust community college network, 3 major sports teams within the city, and you really start to add up all of the assets that we have, in addition to the potential of $19.4 billion over 30 years that will go towards transportation, which is everything that doesn't move, your sidewalks, roads, and bus stops, and then transit, which is your everything that moves, your buses, trains, and micro transit, and the ability to deploy that capital all over the community in Charlotte, Mecklenburg, and then also have that strategically tie in to our regional neighbors. This is a golden moment when you think about all of the opportunities with the Fortune 500 companies that we have, the startup community, the housing opportunities that we have, us growing from 50 out of 50 on economic mobility and moving up. It's kind of the right time. And I went on to ChatGPT to kind of add those things, like how many cities have an R1 institution, an HBCU, a medical school, an international airport, and 3 major league sports teams. And I started to add a AAA bond rating from a city. And we're a very, very small company. And what that does for us, it really promotes the quality of life for the residents that are here. And it really thinks about transportation and how we move about to goods and services throughout our region in a very strategic way. Last but not least, a part of the reason why the act was based off of sales tax, because it doesn't put the full burden on the residents and the business owners from a real estate perspective. So when you think about the strategic investments that were made in some of our cultural and sports assets, such as basketball and football stadiums and some of the other things like the NASCAR Hall of Fame, and how we and why we bring in high-paying jobs where the workers will have disposable income, all of those things matter, and it helps carry the burden. So we actually have an opportunity to capture revenue from visitors as opposed to being strictly on business owners. So when you think about 40% of the dollars going towards roads, 40% of the dollars going towards rail, and then 20% towards buses, it really starts to have us think about being a world-class city. And that's where we are in Charlotte's moment of going from a cool, kind of nondescript southern city. That was kind of my perspective. I'm like, what is Charlotte? When I came here in 2018, I was visiting family, and it was a pleasant surprise to have such an urban core and then also have your suburb communities, whether it's Rock Hill and Matthews and a few others in such close proximity. And then the other win for me was the airport is 12 minutes from your downtown core or uptown core. So where we are now is going to continue to promote our region, to help the businesses and residents and visitors that are here to move around. And then it really also, there's another aspect of economic impact for the small business owners and contractors, that we will have a pipeline of projects for 30 years to come that will also support the local economy. So that's my, it wasn't quite short, but I can keep going on about economic impact. I told you I'm an economic development nerd, but I'm trying to keep it in a sound bite just to kind of capture the essence of the excitement that's here now.
Yeah.
Incredibly exciting. So, and thank you for dumbing it down. You didn't lose me once in that whole thing. It's funny though. I mean, as you look at it, there's so many commuters that are maybe living in one of our counties and commuting to their day job in another. And now that we're mostly back in office, I mean, to your point, it's going to impact everyone. Whether you live in Mecklenburg County adjacent or if you're visiting. When you look at the population gains, I would love to hear from you guys. How are you seeing the population show up? And after this, we'll share some information, some data that we didn't have a chance to go into as far as percentage increases and what all of that looks like. But how and where are you seeing it in your communities? And Jen, if you don't mind kicking us off.
Yeah, so I mean, originally Mooresville, being closer to Charlotte on the southern side, was where we experienced the most growth, and obviously the lake being there and people being able to live on the lake. But I think in 2019, ironically, the same time that I got here, the toll road opened up to the northern part of the Charlotte region, and people had just avoided that area for so long, and then suddenly realized with the toll road how close you actually are to Charlotte. And I was excited, and a lot of people I know that live in Iredell were not excited about the toll road. But coming from DC and also in Raleigh, they had a toll road. I recognized the advantages of having that, and the importance of being recognized that we were important enough in Iredell County for them to want to extend it that far. But that has opened up, industry opportunities and population opportunities. And so Troutman, our sales, our property tax value across the board is 50% or higher in every single one of my municipalities. Actually, in Troutman, it's 199% over the last 5 years. So, I mean, it's tremendous how much growth, but you have to understand, though, perspective, we didn't have a lot of housing. Statesville had stayed the same in terms of population for almost 40 years. And now we're seeing an upward trajectory. And I think part of that is it's not just standard jobs. We're bringing in, and we're very conscious about this, to bring in jobs that are high-paying jobs, so that people have the discretionary income to spend on things and thrive. And with that has come, other opportunities. But if you've not gotten up to Iredell County, we do have the Carolina Balloon Fest, which is the #1 festival in the United States and globally.
You said the world, globally.
Yes, and globally. And we also have really, really cute downtowns. So we've been able to have that quaintness of like living in a metro area and the access to Charlotte, but we also have the lake. We have the largest shoreline of Lake Norman. Most people don't know that. We're very close to the mountains. You can be up in the mountains in an hour and a half. And we've got a lot of different types of lifestyles. You can still live on a farm in Mooresville. And you can have that downtown feel if you ever have a chance to come down to Liberty Park in Mooresville. It feels like home, and a community. And so I think that people are seeking that.
Mitch, how about you?
Yeah, we feel it every day. I felt it this morning trying to get on Interstate 77 in Fort Mill. It backs up. You've had the pleasure of having toll lanes in. We're going to experience that here on the south side of 77, which is great. I think our challenge is to really think about that connection as we cross the state line, getting different governments, different states, delegations, whatever it may be, to communicate and work together. We talk about 157 people a day moving to the region. Obviously, I think Fort Mill, Lake Wylie are common themes where you see people continuing to move there. We're seeing it more now in Clover and in York, which are predominantly rural areas, probably similar to what Troutman was. I looked it up. York specifically has probably seen the most growth in terms of percentage over the past 2 years. They've grown about 20%. And for a town that was about 8,000 to now expand even bigger, it comes with growing pains, whether it's infrastructure, things like that. So we're trying to be intentional with mobility. That's a big thing that we're focused on. Obviously, we're not talking light rail, but we are talking about trails, connectivity, where you have an extension where we feel more like Charlotte when you come into Fort Mill, and it doesn't just stop and you cross the state line. We're talking about extending things and connecting into the Little Sugar Creek Greenway. What are key sites that are a big part of really looking at employment centers, and how do we tie that in? And how do we have different access where people can live, work, and play without ever getting in their car and getting on 77. So that's really our approach to it. I'm sure I'll touch on it a little later too, but we're really thinking more of the mindset where we're talking about traditional economic development, and I do that every day, but we're also trying to be intentional with non-traditional type projects and creating our own community-led economic development projects like Project Trail Mix, which is connecting trails all across York County, having a seamless connection into Charlotte and Mecklenburg, and really making mobility feel way different than it feels today.
Sha?
Repeat the question again. I was
still
locked in. I'm like, oh wow, Project Trail Mix. What is this? I want to know more.
But does the trail mix have M&Ms in it, or
I
not?
know.
I think we've got some trail mix.
Salty sweet. Well, I'll give you a second to gather. So we had lunch a month and a half ago down at the pump house. If you haven't been to the pump house down there on the river, it's fantastic. And I think like 45 minutes, we just talked about trails.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to pick his brain for projects, and we just nerded out over trails and connectivity and all that fun stuff. So it's not a sound bite. It's, you guys are being really intentional about it, and it's exciting. So, but we were talking about population, how you're seeing
growth.
that show up in
I
in the
got
city.
you. I'm there now. All right. So I think one of the things for the city of Charlotte is how do we grow responsibly and to make sure that we're not the cause of a log jam. And I think a part of that smart growth, so to speak, and I'm not speaking specifically to smart growth principles, but it really starts with a lot of the planning. And the planning department went through a process, the Unified Development Ordinance, to increase density in certain areas, to revisit some of the zoning, to make sure that a lot of our parcels weren't just single family homes, McMansions, but how can we increase density in areas that had that were amenity rich? And how do we accommodate for the growth responsibly, and we don't sprawl out as a city? Because guess what, we can't make new land. Well, we can't annex unincorporated Mecklenburg County, which has happened. under voluntary annexation, but you can't make more of Charlotte. So how do we grow responsibly? And that's a coordination where I've seen over the last few years, there's been stronger collaboration, number one, with the county. And that's of high importance because guess what? All of city residents are county residents. Duh, right? But we don't think about that from historically from a planning perspective, capital improvements perspective, but we're starting to see the integration and coordination and collaboration of governments, which I think, which really piggybacks off of the payback because it's a Charlotte-Mecklenburg thing. And a lot of the first installations of rail improvements are in North Meck, Huntersville, et cetera. So we're looking at smart growth principles. Number two, we're looking how do we capture those dollars, especially from a tourism standpoint. If you were to tell someone Beyonce would be in Charlotte for a concert and the Savannah Bananas who were homegrown in Gaston County and they would have the impact that they had here in the ticket sales and the draw that Charlotte has become. The Panthers are doing well, and that helps as well. Like when you're winning,
Yeah, thank you for that.
all of these things.
Thank you, Mary. I appreciate that.
Right, but with the population increase, how do we capture those dollars that are coming in? Number two, how do we also draw people in that are actually going to want to stay here and live? And then last but not least, I think we're all at the stage now where we have the mindset of regionalism. And we hear about the 157 a day, but that's spread out throughout all of our communities. So when we think about that 157 people plus the new births, we're thinking about this kind of collectively. And most people don't drive down the street and say, well, I crossed the line, now I'm in Iredell. Some people may, depending on your toll and where you live and work. But
Elkin.
yeah, well, for the most part, we're starting to think, talk, and act as a region. And I think that's the most important part of that 157. It's a regional win, it's a regional number, and it talks about regional growth.
Yeah, completely agree. You can tell this is exactly why, and I mean, we've got some fantastic practitioners across the region. And I know a lot of you guys have relationships with them, but the holistic approach is why we wanted to have you guys today. We'll pivot to the industry side. We're not just seeing population, but we're also seeing a lot of industry activity. That always goes up and down. It's cyclical, right? But what are you guys seeing on the industry front in your counties? And also, I mean, how's that impacting product development? And we'll start with Mitch this time.
I'm seeing a great mix. Sha and I have obviously competed on some projects. Sha is kicking my butt right now. It's doing great. But I think it's great to see that office has really come back a lot stronger than it has been, which is great. It's phenomenal. Those usually come with higher wage jobs. We're seeing some really good manufacturing. Pratt Industries did a major expansion in York County, about $92.5 million. Obviously, warehouse distribution just on pure size. But I think what we're seeing more too is developers actually coming in, looking at our market, and really thinking differently than we've ever thought of in York County. A good example of that is what you're doing in Ballantyne. And that's part of why we want to focus on trails. We've got to create that ecosystem where people can kind of stay confined in that area and still have all the service and amenities that they feel like they have to have. Fort Mill is starting to experience that. Obviously, Rock Hill to a degree as well, but we just want to be a little bit more intentional on our side to make sure that we're seen as an advocate, as a supporter, maybe even someone that can help bridge that gap to make projects feasible. So we're trying to get the right types of development. Being in the Charlotte market, I came from rural Tennessee in Johnson City. It's a beautiful town, great place. People weren't knocking at my door every day. It's tough here. There's a lot of people knocking on our doors constantly. So it's trying to find the right projects, the right development, and making sure it's the right fit for our community.
Sha, I'll kick it to you. And I mean, interesting circumstance specifically around Class A, right? I mean, we had this stuff that was kind of was on hold, right? And then we've flown through the inventory pretty fast as far as commitments and funnel right now. But tell us about what you're seeing.
Business is booming. It literally is booming since I came on board as a director. So I worked for Mecklenburg County Economic Development for 5 years. So same building, same floor. I just made a left at the elevator into my new suite. So that was very helpful. But since I've been here in the last 4.5 months, we've had 5 announcements, and all of them have been office, and they've been really, really great opportunities. Some of them have been homegrown expansions, such as SoFi, that grew out of an area in South Park into Ballantyne, and I'm giving the wink at Christina here, who's been coordination with us and partnership about bringing in some of that new Class A office product, and how we're bringing more opportunities to other sub-markets outside of your central business district. We've been seeing a surge in fintech as well. We've also had Citigroup, AssetMark, and from what I've seen is that there's this newer concept of regional HQs and regional hubs. And people are looking at the East Coast, specifically the Southeast, to maybe not do a full HQ, but a regional HQ. And that's also very interesting for companies that have a European presence, because they want to stay within the Eastern time zone, so that way they can still do business with their counterparts in Europe. And so that's been really good. And you mentioned something about Class A product. 2 years ago, this was not the case. Many of you have probably heard about all of the concerns about the office market and that implication onto the tax base. And I would accredit a lot of this to, I can't take all of the credit. I could say, as soon as I became director, we started winning, right?
We can say that.
No, it
The
was
balloon capital of the world.
right, exactly. My head, right?
You kind of mention it every time you speak.
No, but it's really the intentionality through those pandemic years to stay the course, to continue to recruit, to continue to market, to continue to stay together as a regional community in partnership with our state partners and the Regional Business Alliance. We did not stop, and we continue to do mission trips overseas. We continue to do outbound marketing. We continue to strengthen our relationships locally as well. So when you look at a deal that's announced, these two can attest, on average, it's probably 9 months to a year that from the moment that RFP hits your inbox to the moment that it's announced. So what you're looking at is we're reaping the rewards and fruit of labor that's happened years prior. So the return to office is big, especially with Class A, because talent attraction is the #1 decision driver on the list of a corporation. And they're realizing if we're returning back to work, we have to have an amazing environment. So I'm sure Design Collaborative will be busy. Hopefully the phone is ringing with a lot of the organizations that are looking to do things differently in this era post-pandemic. But it's really about talent attraction and making sure that people have a creative space to work, and also just be proud of the work that they're doing, because it's hard to really retain talent. So you have to do all that you can. I think we're beyond the point of paddle boards and all of that other kind of quirky stuff. But it's like, does the internet work? Do I have the right touchdown space? Is it, am I in an environment that also has amenities? And I think that's why we're seeing such great wins in areas like Ballantyne and also South End and Uptown as well, is because it's the amenities that also help drive the decisions for these corporations.
Yeah, the placemaking, and obviously doubling down on it. I mean, you look at Carolina Theater, if you haven't been there, it's beautiful. You've got the main library coming on. They're putting a lot of money behind the library system. And that North Tryon corridor was exciting. And so you look at that new Class A that's flown off the shelf recently. You've got a little bit older buildings, like the 525 building that Insight Properties has is a really cool building. So, I mean, what they do with it's going to be exciting. So, great chapter to be in. Thanks for the insights. Jen, how about you?
So we're a little different, not a lot of office, although we do have some office. The mill, the 1 million square foot Merino Mill, if you've not been there, that's where our office is located. It's like the best thing ever. They were gonna tear it down. Michael Bay bought it for $500,000 and has redeveloped it into a center of excellence for all things. A lot of Lowe's vendors are there, and Lowe's is a big part of our story, a lot of our success. has been because of Lowe's locating their headquarters there. But we have a lot of industrial. That's really our focus. And I think our success has really been, it is 3 years probably for a project in some cases for us, but it's also product driven. So, you know, if you don't have a site or you don't have the infrastructure, you don't have the electricity or the sewer or the water, these are all things I've learned over the last 6 years, because an office building has all those things, and so they're just leasing it and putting computers inside and maybe doing a little redesign, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which we'd love to help
yes,
with.
Yes.
Thank you guys. I'll pay you off.
But we're like starting from the ground up and getting the entitlements in place and making sure that your comment about land use has been so important in our community. But I think we've been well positioned because since 2020 we had a lot of private sector investment that has come into the area and has built spec development, either from a land development standpoint, getting the sites ready, or actually building buildings. And so we have our Mooresville Business Park East, which is not developer controlled. It's actually owned by the town of Mooresville. Well, not owned, sorry. Partnership with the town of Mooresville and Iredell County. It's managed by a nonprofit, and we manage that. But it is 450 acres. Over the last since 1988, they have done 1,200 acres of industrial parks collaboratively in partnership. So this is our third industrial park, and we currently have 3 projects in that park, one under LOI, one under contract I hope closes in December. Cross your fingers, you'll get through due diligence and then anything can happen. And then one that is a spec building that we have a couple of tenants looking at. So I think for us it's a mix of industrial. We've had a lot of FDI interested, a lot of foreign direct investment interested in our county. We have over 40 companies that are international, a lot of our larger manufacturers, a lot of automotive. We were the mecca of motorsports components with NASCAR. So a lot of shift in the last couple of years to advanced manufacturing in the aerospace and defense space, and we're actually starting to understand that story a little bit more. But Fiberworks Composites, Roush Yates, Doug Yates, and Brad Kozlowski have all done pretty well in shifting into the manufacturing space. And so, it's kind of like discovering your niches up where we are, and starting to put things together, and then figuring out with the state and trade shows. We were just talking about CESA, where Cliff is. Oh, I won't say it. Anyway, but just different trade shows to figure out strategies of how to position ourselves. But it's, I think it's a little bit, I think some folks, just from a trend standpoint, some folks are still on the sidelines. They're churning. They're ready to do something, but they're not ready yet. I don't know what that ready will be, interest rates, the right building, comfort, uncertainty, I don't know. But then we've seen some things just absolutely move forward. So it's just a weird time, and has been for several years, that you just kind of, every day is going to be a new project or focus. So.
And you started to move into it. We're talking mostly about new and attraction and those strategies, but bread and butter of economic development is always going to be existing industry, and it's going to be retention, expansion. And you talked a little bit about the, some of the pivoting that you've got going on there. What is some of your existing industry? We'll kind of keep going with you for a second. What are they struggling with? What are they doing well with? And then we'll move down the line. We'd love to hear about what you're seeing as far as existing industry and your footprint. Again, the pros and the cons. Where do we maybe have a bottleneck in workforce or whatever else it may be?
So we just completed a business pulse survey. We do it every couple of years. We did it last in 2021 during COVID, post-COVID, to kind of figure out where everybody's head was, because this is just an uncertain, like, forever period. So every now and then we're like, okay, it's another uncertain period. So the beginning of the year was kind of uncertain. It's funny, if you took the survey on March 15th, it was different than you took it on March 16th, right?
Yeah.
Because every day was a tariff conversation. But I think there were some consistencies through that. And I think the number one thing, I think, tariffs are definitely on people's minds. Supply chain, how it's being disrupted and where they're going to get their materials from, depending on the company. Not everybody feels that way, but it really depends how they're supplied and where they distribute. Healthcare is the number one thing that keeps people up at night. And I think if you've seen healthcare rates, and I'm so proud, I'll plug the NC Chamber because we're a small organization. They have done and created an affordable plan for small companies that are 50 or under employees. But that's a huge challenge. I mean, the average cost is like 30% increase. I know we've seen our increases in the last couple of years, but I think talent has calmed down a little bit. Most people have found the people that they enjoy or feel are good, and they're kind of holding on to them. We haven't seen a huge amount of layoffs in our area. I think a lot more folks are letting attrition kind of take over. So they're not necessarily hiring more people, but I think they're looking at automation, especially in manufacturing, as part of their process to modernize and create more efficiency. So those are some of the trends.
Awesome. Mitch?
I could probably echo everything you just said. Tariffs are probably the biggest thing that we're seeing. I was meeting with an existing company yesterday that's contemplating, moving operations from Europe over here, and it's all centered around cost. Same thing with another company from Canada, and just trying to navigate what's going on today and what could happen a week from now. It's a lot of uncertainty with that. Talent is important to us. We probably have spent more time over the course of the past year focused on life science and some of the companies in our area about what they're looking for in terms of talent. So we're going to be focused on being a little bit more intentional with some of our investments, along with Rock Hill, to support like an engineering program that went through it to focus more on life science related initiatives and training for what we could land at the former Panthers practice facility that's in Rock Hill. We've got a lot of activity there right now. And so we're trying to think on that side and talking to our existing companies today about what some of their issues are in attracting talent and what we can do to invest in it and really have programs in place so when we do land that big fish, we're prepared.
Sha?
I won't repeat what was shared because it's relevant, but a unique thing about Charlotte, which is, I would say it hurts us but helps everyone, is that a lot of your manufacturers who are looking to grow and expand in Charlotte is not cost effective for them because of the cost of real estate. So most people are looking to expand in Cabarrus or Gaston County or Iredell, and that's okay, especially if they stay within the region. So that's been one of the biggest challenges for business expansion with existing industry, specifically in the advanced manufacturing space. We've had a client who was looking to expand, but they couldn't figure out the real estate. And they were originally located in Charlotte proper, and this was a couple years ago. I was with the county, we were working with the city, we were trying to put together this package to keep them, and they had a decision to make from their board, and it's like, we have to make a decision of where we're moving out of the state. And I called the folks at Pineville, and it was like, hey, we need to keep them in Mecklenburg County at least. But that's what we're starting to see, and it's sometimes we have to have these conversations where, hey, you pick up the phone and call a neighbor. I have someone who's looking to grow out of my space, or someone's been peeking around, doesn't want to make you aware, because if I land this deal, I don't want any beef. Just gotta just call someone. So that's one. The second part of expansion revolves around more so about pick and pack, distribution, and warehouse. So there's a lot of organizations because of next day delivery and e-commerce and wanting to have a distribution warehouse close to your buyers, because you have a lot of rooftops in Charlotte with people who are buying and clicking from their phone. Of course, distribution wants to be close, but it's hard to incentivize distribution, pick and pack, warehouse because they don't have the same jobs that compete. So a lot of the incentives don't align because of the salary, so that means they have to grow in a different environment. So one example of that is, there was a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago, we had a lead that came in and received a call, hey, it's gonna be almost $500 million and it's gonna be, 2,000, 3,000 jobs, but it's in this particular sector. And it was a great opportunity. They were looking at an area close to the airport, but it did not make sense. And picked up the phone, called Rowan County, and that became the Macy's distribution facility, which was a game changer for the community. And we made the decision not to proceed with that. So that was an opportunity that we could have taken advantage of, but it was better for it to stay in the region. So sometimes we have to be very strategic about what we go after, but also this is a part of the regionalism and being good neighbors, that we pick up the phone if there's opportunity that doesn't match, or if there's someone looking to grow. I would rather them have a warm handoff, especially if it doesn't impact their workers' commute time drastically, where they're going to have a hiring issue later on when they decide to grow and move.
Yeah. And I think collaboration across the region's at an all-time high. We referred to Cliff and Lincoln County. You look at what they're doing out there with the industrial park. That's a collaboration between Gaston and Lincoln is unheard of. And I mean, their county commissioners were telling them, don't you ever bring this to me again. And they kept bringing it to them, right? So I mean, it rings true, I think, across all of your peers, which is a great place to be in as a region. I want to leave time for question and Q&A, but parting thoughts. If you can highlight a big project win or a big initiative that you're really excited about or that you guys have executed on, just one last highlight before we open it up for any questions. I'll get to you first.
I don't have one particular project, but what I can say is
any big ones coming that you can
Talk about.
you can just whisper it. I'll turn my mic off.
Answers, yes.
we have a project. We have a few project announcements that are coming up. One next week and a week after.
Do they have a design firm already?
I can't confirm, no, deny. But I would say one of the things that I'm particularly proud of, it is not particular a project, but it's really the stronger collaboration with Mecklenburg County, and my relationships there were worked off beneficially, because a few of these deals we had to really think creatively, and the ability just to pick up the phone and call the team there, which is we're an extension of each other, to say, hey, we may have to go out of policy and think about this a little bit creatively. That goes such a long way to have the political backing from both the city and the county, and with new leadership with the county manager and with our existing city manager, myself being a former Mecklenburg County employee, and the ability to pick up the phone and call Roger and say, hey, I think we got one. We're going to have to think about this in game plan. That's a game changer when you have so many different communities have these city-county tensions, and there's always the balancing act of the respective boards and where those priorities lie. So I won't go to a particular project or place, but more so about the process. And I believe the process that we have in place to really go after any deal and be confident that we're going to have the backing politically with the council and commissioners, and that we also have the respective teams that can actually take on any project and be confident that we have a winning team. I think that's a key, driver and where we are with economic development for the city of Charlotte.
That's truly exciting. So, it hasn't always been that way. Right?
But
we're in a great chapter right now.
It's the Sha effect. I'm just joking. That's the biggest balloon in the world, right? No. We're in the era of collaboration and partnership. And back to my first point, this is a golden era for Charlotte, and we have to steward this time well. And if we work together collaboratively, and we have the opportunity to put egos aside and understand that we all want the best. We want great places to live, we want great paying jobs, and we want to make sure that we're sustainable in our growth for the future, I think once we put those things aside, there's a way to win collectively, and we're piloting a few things that's actually becoming fruitful. So
Yeah.
I'm excited about the process.
A quick anecdote, and many of you probably remember this, when Michael Marsicano was on his farewell tour and he was getting all the awards, I think it was maybe the Center City Awards, he was talking about why he's stuck in Charlotte. And when you look at major cities, in general, there's like a 50-year period where the cake's being baked. And past that, Boston will always be Boston. You know, LA will always be LA.
Yeah.
And he was like, I stuck in Charlotte because I don't know where we are in that 50-year period, but we're baking the cake as we speak. And it takes a village, right?
That totally does, yeah.
Jen?
Yeah, and I will answer your question,
Yeah.
but I just want to say, I feel like I could call Mitch or Sha or Cliff or Donnie or Scott, and I have, at any given moment and say, hey, I need some advice. And I think that that's really nice to know, because we kind of are lonely in our own community. I mean, you're the only ED person in your whole county. For me, it's city and county, and town. So I have 4 communities, and I'm with my colleagues, which I give a lot of credit to, and they definitely advise. But I think it's nice to know that if you get stuck or need something, you have a community around you that you can call on. For us, our big project is, probably heard about it, was just finalized on Monday. It's kind of been in the works, so I don't know if it hit the news again, but we've had several data center projects in our community. This is a land use process that we've gone through, so we're not as visible, because people, I guess, we're not visible on land use projects, land development, projects, but Compass Data Center announced a 1.2 million square foot data center in Statesville, and they went through the rezoning and annexation process, and that was approved unanimously, all those processes by our city council. And I think what's really important with data centers, and some of you have heard me talk about this, it's just that you have to really evaluate each project on its own merits. They're not all the same. They're not all bad. They're not all good. But there are particular areas where maybe they make sense. And that's really for the council to decide. And I think our job really is to make sure that we're gathering all the facts, and getting all the information in front of them, and also getting to get to know the firm that's behind it as well as possible, so that we really know who is going to be our neighbor in our community. But I think in this case, Compass is a really good fit for that site. They're not going to be a big water user. The power's right there. It's going to bring a minimum of $1 billion into the Statesville and Iredell economy. And I think the Statesville City Council saw that boost as not just the revenue, but the fit on the property and some of the other things that project would bring to other areas of Statesville, as an opportunity and a transformational project. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited about how smooth the process was. Overall, I mean, there's always hiccups, but I'll give a shout out to my colleague Craig Goodson, who really shepherded that project too.
Yeah, I'll answer that, but I do want to touch on collaboration. I think I knew you for about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then you let me use your office.
Yeah, he called me on 77. He's like, hey, can I use your office? I'm like, yeah. Throw you the keys? Or
You did. You said, just come on, my office is here, you can use it, here's the Wi-Fi. You were great. But it was on the heels of Hurricane Helene, and I was still trying to move from Tennessee when all this was going on. And so I was headed up. I got a call on a project I was working on just as I was crossing through Mooresville, because I had to go Interstate 77 to get there. Mm-hmm. And I thought to myself, shit, where am I? I don't even know where to go. Like, where's the Starbucks at or something? And it hit me when going through Mooresville. I was like, I'm just going to call Jen. She gave me her number. I'll figure it out. And you were so gracious to let me do that. I just appreciate that. And I would echo that amongst all the folks that I've been able to meet, Sha and others. They've been amazing to work with. But a project, I don't know. We haven't officially landed this project yet, but I can touch on it a little bit. I think what's unique and what you'll see more of from us, and it really touches on this project, is the importance of storytelling and the presence of who you are as a company and what that means. And so we've got a sports science related company that's going to locate in Fort Mill. And a big part of what they do is interaction through social media, through live streaming, working directly virtually with people. It's about 90 jobs, but majority of it's done online. And that's the side of where they've done such a great job on TikTok, Instagram, and others. That you're going to see us do more of that. If you've checked out my LinkedIn page, I've thrown a couple of videos up. Actually was walking through Valentine the other day doing a video. And I think you're going to see us do more of, I'm going to get out of my county and talk about what's going right around the region and what we need to be looking at and focusing on moving forward. Valentine was a great example because we're looking at doing, we want to cast the vision similar in Fort Mill with some key property. And so what are we doing to really look at how it's done right, the intentionality behind what you all did with that, and how we're going to do it in our community and make it our own too. So I think you'll see more of that and really touching probably on the non-traditional side. I've talked about trails, another big focus of ours because we are a big county. We're not as long, we're more wide in York County. And when you get over to York and Clover, agriculture is such a big component to our economy. And so we're casting that vision that we want to be the agri-food hub of the Charlotte region. We want people to come in and experience Bush and Vine, Windy Hill, Black's Peaches, and really start to embrace that side to say that that's part of the tourism economy. If we've got all this land that doesn't necessarily have to be a strain on our infrastructure, what can we do to encourage people to do more of that? It's going to be a lot more well received in a place like Clover too. And I think lastly, touching on the social media side, really looking at how we influence and support small business. I've got a 10-year-old son. He loves to be on YouTube. He has influencers that he follows. We've got some amazing people in our community that are small businesses that can sell their product today if they're just given the ability to do so and the encouragement to do so. So what are we doing to really help them utilize things like TikTok, whatnot, get them comfortable talking in front of their cell phone and selling their product at 12 a.m. rather than worrying about somebody walking through their door at 2 p.m. That's the side of it that we're really trying to do things a little bit more non-traditional, hoping that we make a difference on that side of the economy too.
All very exciting. Thank you, guys. We will open it up for some questions, if there are any amongst the group. Toby, Dave, arm wrestle? Okay.
USC Charlotte had their housing forum this week, last week, starting to run together. But annual event talking about housing affordability. I think one of the stats off the top that I read is that it takes about $150,000 for median household income to afford a home right now. And that number is, I think, doubled in the last 7 years or so. From what it's slightly higher than the current average median household income. How does that affect your ability to recruit, or just generally in the economic sphere of your own county, in your own kind of place? How is housing affordability kind of impeding on your ability to do your work, recruit companies, recruit talent, or simply have people pay for things and kind of keep that consumer generation of spending inside your community going?
I took a stab at it. So housing affordability is probably top 5 when it comes to concerns that a company has when they're moving into the community. Historically, that wasn't an issue for Charlotte because we were so well below housing sales price compared to national average. And then also the general Northeast area where we're really having a lot of our business relocations come from. But the beautiful thing is we have an opportunity to sell the entire county and the region. So Fort Mill and Rock Hill are actually a part of our pitch when it comes to selling submarkets where you can actually live in the actual school district. We're actually, Concord is a part of the pitch when we're talking about the opportunities to just take a short drive down 85 or through Route 49 into the city. And we always look at commute times, which is 27.3 minutes for the average commute time in Charlotte. And this is why the PAVE Act and the sales tax referendum is so important, because we're looking to bring in companies into our city, but those workers are coming from neighboring counties as well. And the more efficient our roadway system, rail, trails, because some people actually bike to work, and the more extensive that network is, it actually helps. And I think the one beautiful thing about the Charlotte region is that you can have if you were thinking of a transect model and you were thinking of kind of your urban core, you can have a condo on the 15th floor or the 20th floor of some building, and then you can have a barn dominium in Iverdale County, and you could have a homestead. So you can have your homestead in Iverdale, drive down 77, and then also work in the urban core. And I think that's the beauty of our. So we flip that concern into an opportunity, and we probably sell each other more than what we sell against each other. And I think that goes back to the regionalism, where oftentimes Charlotte has been historically compared to metro areas. We're always measuring our city versus Atlanta metro, and we're almost twice the size from a population standpoint of Atlanta proper. But you don't say Douglasville, hey, I'm in Douglasville and not Atlanta. If you live in Douglasville outside of Atlanta, it's Atlanta to most people. So we sell our communities, we sell regionalism, but I will say there's a few things that the city of Charlotte has been doing, and we've been putting some things in place. Number one, there's been some accessory dwelling unit incentives that offer up to $80,000 for people to build in their yard, and that could be ADUs or tiny homes or whatever. There's also an incentive through Dream Key partners that allow for, and if you partner with the state, you can also get up to $20,000 in down payment assistance to the purchase of a home. And we also, between the city and the county, have multiple incentives for people to purchase a home. And then, we always market the region, and there's more housing stock that's coming online too. And I think with some strategic rezonings, especially in the Northwest Charlotte area, where we're seeing a lot more single family detached homes that are at least 2,000 square feet down to about 1,400 square feet. Those are reasonably priced for our AMI in our area. So you can easily get a 3-bedroom townhome at 1,500 square feet in a garage with a monthly payment with a 2-to-1 rate buy down, where if you're doing like a 4.5 interest rate the first year, 5.5 the second year, and then 6.5 the third year, which you can refinance after 6 months, that payment on the first year is about $2,200 for a brand new home if you go the FHA route. And that's including principal, interest, mortgage premium, plus your HOA. So there's more product that is coming online in the townhome side, smaller footprints on the single family detached, the housing incentives, and then marketing the region. So I used to be a licensed realtor too, so I can't tell. So I'm gonna stop nerding out.
So most of the links that you're going to get after this are going to come directly from Sha. If you can share with me some of those references.
I do think the only thing I would add to that, and Rachel, you might be a person even to ask that question too, but I go back to like York growing at a rate that we've not seen before. Affordability can be found. I just think you're having to go further out than the center city of Charlotte. But what that does, and I'm so glad that, transit was such a high priority and it passed last night. We've got to think about that too. Because people are still choosing to live like in Chester County, but guess what? They're still getting on 77 and driving to Charlotte every day.
Yeah.
And I would just to add, I think though it's really important to know that it is not affordable. I mean, 150,000, but not everybody wants to own their home anymore. So like communities like Iredell, we have more apartments than when I moved there, and that's not always a popular thing, right? But I think that was like Statesville never even thought of apartments as being part of their mix. They're more open to that, and I think it's really important that, that if you are in the residential space coming into a Statesville market, that you're providing a quality product, not just, a shell stick building, because we care about what our people how they live and that it is a quality community, because once you build it, it's going to be there forever. And then I think the other aspect of that and how we're trying to combat that is education, making sure our workforce systems, every student graduates, every student has a credential, and then on the flip side, attracting the jobs that are high paying jobs. We don't want just any project, we want good projects so that the people that live in our community can work for companies that have good income. That's how you know, it's not all about the housing. I mean, the housing is what it is, although I have heard that it's supposed to start to cool down a little bit. We know Rachel, but anyway, I would just add those two things, because I think sometimes people hear apartments and they're like, it's like a bad word, but I think for some people, they don't want to own their home. They don't want maintenance. They want a smaller footprint, and they're okay with that. And for them, it's actually affordable compared to getting a mortgage that they can't get a down payment for.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the American dream, like if you painted it, it's usually a single family house, right? But I mean, apartments, condos, the denser models leave more space. They leave more parks, more trails, and allow us to be more creative about some of the placemaking and the intentionality in our footprints as well, as long as we have a sales tax to fund the roads, right?
Yes.
One more question, Dave.
Sure, we got time?
Yeah,
All right.
we'll speed through it.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, speed question.
Go with Shaw last.
So
Yes.
I'm teasing you.
So, Sha, you mentioned you wanting Charlotte to be a world-class city, and I think we all care and want Charlotte to be a world-class city. So I think part of that is the work, the live, but also the play side of things. And I think Charlotte's maybe a little lacking in like a tourism and entertainment side of the house. Any projects that you have coming up that you know of, or ones that you're maybe chasing to try to bring something more like entertainment, tourism related to the area?
There's a few projects that we're chasing. We're always on the hunt for the next big event. But I would also say that our investment of $650 million into Bank of America Stadium is a multi-use facility, and also the contract that we have for the additional acreage for the performance venue that Tepper Sports and Entertainment would actually utilize has been key for us. When you think about some of the events that I mentioned before, whether it's Beyonce or Savannah Bananas, and even Charlotte FC, we're really thinking about utilizing that stadium not only for sports but also for music and other opportunities. So that's one investment, and then yes, we're actively recruiting all types of events, from sporting to entertainment to music. We're actively working together with the Visitors Authority, and then also our business improvement districts such as Center City Partners, who's looking to help us and make Uptown an activated space after 9 to 5, understanding that we don't want to dead downtown. So a lot of those improvements and parking opportunities, sidewalk, roads, streetscape enhancements are all very intentional to make sure. You talked about the theater as well. How do we activate Tryon? How do we activate our sporting venues outside of its regularly scheduled season? And we're very intentional about that.
You already have internationally acclaimed Balloon Fest, so we'll skip over Jen. I'm kidding, Jen.
You're right.
This is your opportunity to say it one last time. Jen.
Yeah, I've got Balloon Fest.
What else could you want? Well, Mitch has cornhole, so you've got cornhole and velodrome, right?
We do. I mean, Rock Hill specifically is really known for the sports side of things, more amateur high school sports related. But I'm going to touch back on the ag just briefly. It's almost like that vacation experience for people in the Charlotte region to have the ability, and this is where we want to focus on York and Clover. What can we do to support those farmers who have created kind of, an event in themselves where you can go pick strawberries on your own. You can get out and really have that quality time with your family and make a true experience out of it. We've got a brand new Hilton Hotel that's going to be coming to downtown York, which it's crazy to even say that we're going to have a Hilton Hotel in downtown York.
Yeah.
But the thought process behind it is that, what can we do as we talk about recreation with, mobility? connecting into Bush and Vine and Windy Hill and these other places so that when they come in, it's not just an experience at Bush and Vine. They're hitting all those places up. They're having that quality time with their family, and they're talking about that experience just like we all do, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram, and sharing it to the world and really elevating that side of it. So that's when I think recreation, it's probably more on that side. But I love the idea and the things that you all are doing, because that's important to us too. I mean, we feel that benefit.
Yeah.
And diversity of options, right? Because not
Oh,
everyone's
yeah.
looking for the same thing. So.
And I'll just give a couple plugs other than Balloon Fest, because if you've never been to Kerrigan
I was gonna
Farms,
mention that,
it's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
You know, we also have Lake Norman State Park, which is on the water, so it's a great way to get around. And I think our downtowns, we just had Pumpkin Fest this past weekend in Statesville. We have a film festival in Statesville. You know, I think those more smaller community feel events. I mean, we're not going to have, you know, a MLS game, but I'm actually coming Friday. But we have a lot of really cool things that are uniquely different and experimental. And I think, I don't know what the name of I wish I had it because it's really cool, but it shows you all the cool things to do all across Charlotte. And Kerrigan Farms was on there. What's Charlotte on the Cheap? Maybe that's what it is. But I was just like, wow, there is a lot to do. It's just, you got to find the right way to find that and access that, which, you know, is our visitor community's job. But and then golf courses and breweries are the other things that are really and if you're getting married, Iredale's got you. So there's so many beautiful places in Iredale, but yeah. So
Awesome. Well, thank you.
yeah. And I can't get you tickets. I don't have anything. But if you want to volunteer, there's always opportunity to get in if you want to volunteer.
Mitch, you forgot to talk about pucker butt hot sauce.
Okay, you want me to talk about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, the world's
That's
hottest
huge.
the world's hottest pepper is grown in Fort Mill, so that's another part of our ag side
You've
of
got a
things.
world best too.
God knows I'm not eating one of those, but if that is your thing, let me know. I can get you some free hot sauce. If you can't get balloon tickets, I can at least get you some hot sauce.
You got to volunteer.
Thank you guys for your time. Really appreciate the insights. Thank you for everyone joining. By all means, if you didn't grab a drink yet or you want to stick around for another, we'd love to have you hang around and conversate. Also on your way out, we do have chaser tickets if you parked in the deck. Hopefully you did. But thank you everyone for joining us. Truly appreciate you being out here. And again, thank you for the insights.